Hello, whisperers. Welcome to the channel. If you enjoy tonight's tale, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It helps more than you know. Now, dim the lights, and let's begin tonight's story. By the time we got to the backcountry site, the light was gone from the trees. Winter does that. Turns afternoons into evenings without warning. My fingers were stiff even through the gloves, my breath hanging in short bursts as we came into the small clearing cut into the spruce. 4 tent pads sat in a loose line, each flattened and ringed with packed snow, but only 3 were bare. The 4th was occupied. "That's weird," Danny said, slowing down. It was the same model of dome tent we'd brought, same size, same style, but bleached by the sun and rimmed with frost like it had been out here longer than any of us. The flaps hung open, stiff with ice, like someone had left in a hurry. I don't know why my stomach dropped. We'd passed empty tents before. Usually there's a busted pole or a ripped seam, something obvious. This one looked almost functional. We all drifted toward it, crunching over the crusted snow. The air inside was colder than outside, if that's possible. My headlamp cut across the floor. There was nothing, no gear, no sleeping bag, just a stack of parcels in the center, neat as bricks. Wax paper, folded tight, with frost lining the creases. "Meat?" Theo asked from behind me. "Don't touch it," I said. Too quickly. I didn't know what made me say it, only that the words came with a tightening in my chest, like I'd stepped close to a cliff edge. Mark was already turning away. Not ours. Leave it. That was the rule out here. Leave no trace. If someone left a food drop, it wasn't your business. But there was no name written on the paper, no date, no clue. And something about how evenly they were stacked made me want to back away. We set up camp a few spots down, our tents in a row. Mark kept glancing over at the mystery tent, like he was cataloging it in his head. Danny started making coffee just to warm her hands. By the time we ate, the sky had gone from gray to a deep, woolly black. The forest was silent, no branches creaking, no wind threading through the spruce. It was the kind of stillness you don't notice until you realize you can hear your own heartbeat. That night, I woke up cold. My sleeping bag had frosted along the edge from my breath. Then I heard it, soft, deliberate, zip. Not ours, not in our row. I froze, listening. There was the crunch of snow, slow steps, like someone trying not to be heard. I reached for the flashlight but didn't turn it on. The sound stopped. When I finally unzipped our door enough to peek out, the flaps on the mystery tent were shut. Frost that had held them open was gone, as if someone had warmed the fabric with their hands. Morning came pale and thin. A dusting of snow covered everything except a perfect, brushed clean square in front of the mystery tent's door, like a welcome mat. No footprints, not a single one between our tents and that one. Over breakfast, no one wanted to talk about it. But it was there in the way we ate quickly, in the way Theo kept glancing at the tree line. We left for a short hike mid-morning. The wind was picking up, and Mark wanted to check the ridge before the weather turned. 2 hours later, we came back to camp. That's when I saw it. Right beside ours, close enough that the guy lines could almost touch, was a brand new tent. Not weathered, not frosted. Identical to ours in every detail. Its vestibule had been brushed clean, just like the mystery tent's door. Through the fabric in the pale winter light, I could see them. Stacks of wax paper parcels, neat and low to the ground. No one said a word, but I knew we were all thinking the same thing. This wasn't just someone else's camp anymore. We didn't move for a long time, just stood there in the snow, looking at the new tent like it had grown up out of the ground while we were gone. Same fabric as ours, same shape. The vestibule flap brushed clean with a neat square in front of it, like whoever set it up had been proud of their work. Danny finally spoke. "So, this is what we're doing now? We're just collecting tents?" No one laughed. Mark crouched down, peering through the thin nylon. "Same as the other one," he said. "Stacked packages." Theo shifted his pack off his shoulders. "How does someone pitch a tent in the middle of the day without us hearing? No footprints. No." "Don't say it," I cut in. "The rule we hadn't agreed on was not giving this thing a shape. The moment you decided what it was, you'd start making decisions based on that. And we couldn't afford bad decisions out here. But the math was starting to creep in anyway. Our food bag was lighter than it should have been, and the cold made calories disappear fast. We had 3 days left if we stuck to ration sizes. 2 if the weather kept us pinned here. That night, the wind came hard through the trees. It rattled the fabric and made the zippers hum. I lay awake, counting gusts, telling myself the noise outside was all branches and snow. Then it came, different from the wind. A sound like something being placed on the ground right outside. I waited. Nothing moved. I forced myself to unzip the tent and look. The new tent's vestibule was open. Inside, right at the edge, sat a single parcel of wax paper, bigger than the others I'd seen. Frost glittered in the moonlight along its folds. I closed the zipper, slow as I could. By morning, the wind had dropped, but the cold was worse. The food bag looked pathetic hanging from the branch. We'd eaten through the last of the jerky, and Mark was measuring out oatmeal like it was gold dust. Theo poked at his cup. "We could just try one," he said. "No," I told him. "It's meat," he said. "Wrapped clean, no smell, probably venison." "You don't know that." Danny didn't say anything, just kept stirring her coffee. That was worse than arguing. She was thinking about it. By afternoon, the cold had sunk into our bones. Even layered up, I couldn't get warm. My breath felt heavy in my chest. The thought of something rich and hot started working on me, the way certain smells from home do. We were all looking at the parcel in the new tent by then. No one had touched it. No one wanted to be the first. Mark finally broke. "Fine, I'll do it." I didn't stop him. He carried it out into the open, laid it on a camp towel, and peeled the wax paper back. Inside was a perfect cut of deep red meat, smooth and even, with a fine marbling of fat. It didn't smell like game. It didn't smell like anything, which was strange in itself. We cooked it over the stove, the edges searing, fat sizzling in the pan. The smell was wrong, but not in a way I could name. It was sweet, almost pleasant, but it clung to the air. When we ate, no one spoke. The meat was tender, warm all the way through. It sat heavy in my stomach, but a strange heat spread out from it, curling into my fingers and toes. We didn't talk about how we all cleaned our plates. That night, I woke to movement. Someone was standing between the rows of tents, their outlines sharp against the snow, not moving toward us, not moving away, just standing there. When I blinked, they were gone. I thought about calling out. Instead, I lay back down, heart hammering, and realized my mouth was watering. Not from fear, from hunger. By the third morning, the air felt heavier, not colder, just thicker, like it had weight you had to push through to breathe. The sky was a flat, washed-out gray, and the trees held their stillness like they were waiting for something. No one suggested hiking out. We'd all been thinking about it the night before, but the wind had shifted, and snow was coming down in fine, dry needles that got into everything. Mark said it was smarter to wait a day. Danny agreed. Theo just kept glancing toward the new tent. The food bag was nearly empty. All that was left were a few packets of oatmeal and a crushed protein bar. We all knew we'd need more by tonight. When I stepped outside, I saw there were now 3 mystery tents in camp. The original, the one beside ours, and another, just past the tree line. Same model, same brushed clean vestibule, same faint silhouettes of stacked wax paper parcels inside. No footprints. By mid-morning, Theo was already unwrapping the next parcel. No one stopped him. The meat was larger than yesterday's cut, darker in color. He didn't even cook it right away, just stood there, holding it, like it felt good in his hands. We seared it over the stove. This time, the smell didn't just cling. It wrapped around us, sweet and rich, sliding down into the back of the throat. My mouth ached. The first bite was like heat hitting the bloodstream. My fingers stopped stinging from the cold. My chest loosened. The snow didn't seem so bad. By the time the pan was scraped clean, my head felt clearer, sharper. I could hear more, the creak of a far-off branch, the faint snap of ice in the stream. My own heartbeat sounded like it was coming from someone else's body. That night, I woke to a noise I couldn't place at first. A wet sound, rhythmic and low. I unzipped the door just enough to see outside. Mark, Danny, and Theo were crouched in the snow around something. Their coats hung open despite the cold. Steam rose from their shoulders. I saw flashes of red on their faces along their hands. They weren't using knives. Whatever was in front of them wasn't wrapped. I pulled the zipper closed. My pulse was in my ears, pounding in a way that didn't feel entirely my own. I lay there, trying not to breathe too loud, until their footsteps crunched back to their tents. The next morning, they didn't mention it, but the way they looked at me, like I was late to something, made the air between us brittle. We were down to our last oats. No one pretended they wanted them. The tents kept multiplying. 4 now, then 5, each one closer than the last, each with fresh parcels inside. I decided to leave, packed fast, slung my bag over my shoulder and pushed through the snow toward the ridge. But the further I went, the more tents I saw. identical to ours, arranged in a rough ring around camp, dozens of them, each vestibule brushed clean, each holding something inside, waiting. I stopped moving. The hunger hit so hard I almost fell. My mouth flooded. My chest felt hot. My fingers ached to pull open the nearest zipper. I told myself to turn back, to run. Instead, I knelt in the snow, unwrapped a fresh parcel. Inside was a piece of meat with a pale stretch of skin still attached, and a small jagged birthmark I knew by heart.